Hi, and welcome to Sync. It's been 8 years since the initial release of Phantasy Star Online, and Western fans got their first taste back in April with the Xbox One release. But all of us here at Sync have PCs, so we waited until May 27th when the game will be released to the ravenous public. We wanted to give a quick roundup of our initial thoughts from the perspective of one person who has played on the Japanese servers, one avid MMO fan, and an MMO newbie. So sit back, hit that like button, and let's get into our first impressions of Phantasy Star Online 2. To start things off, I actually got a taste of Phantasy Star Online around a year ago playing it on PC and on the PS Vita through the ArcSlayer translation project. The game instantly drew me in, and alongside my other favorite MMORPG, Destiny, kept my attention with the myriad of quests and worlds to explore. These worlds felt vibrant and alien, and as a member of the Oracle fleet for Arcs, you are tasked with clearing out these areas and dispelling enemies that threaten the safety of the fleet. A pretty basic backstory, but one that develops through the game's chapters, with only 1 through 3 being available on the North American server, and Chapter 4 being a near revamp of the game coming down the line. Onto my thoughts on the Western release. I've gotten to play the opening mission on Xbox One over at a friend's, knowing that my character would be available on PC day 1. The console version was very smooth. Keyboard and mouse support worked on day 1 of the open beta, and the game ran excellent, outside of some hub world slowdowns we'll get back to later. The starting mission is a great introduction to the game, and once you're finished up, the game drops you straight into the tower. A full hub world full of quests and people to talk to. The most important things to do here are to run up to the counters and Avid and start running through all the starter quests. Some will be simple like swapping weapon palettes, to running practice courses for each class. Leveling up isn't the entire endgame, as it is more than trivial to get to max level with some easy grinding, but the endgame bosses require more than just brute force. They require players to effectively communicate and use their classes at a very high level. I picked Gunner as my first class, and also gave Ranger a shot, although I quickly fell into using Gunner as my main. The diversity in classes and the ability to swap weapons keeps the gameplay dynamic and engaging. The gunplay is just snappy enough for me to forgive the third-person camera for 80% of the encounters and try out the free aim, which surprisingly works very well. It's very rewarding to mow through enemies and clear through these fantastic landscapes, especially with some friends by your side. But let's take a step back and view some of the issues with Phantasy Star Online 2's official release. The English translation done by Sega is alright, almost matching all the voice acting in English with a few slip-ups here and there. The biggest issues absolutely lie with the user interface and explanations of some mechanics to newer players. The difference between techniques and photon arts may seem minuscule until a very early quest requires you to set both onto your weapon palette, something not immediately explained or easy to decipher, as every action by the new player should feel like they're accomplishing something and not running against a wall at every turn. There seem to be some stuttering bugs on PC that were not present on the Xbox One version, but Sega has already responded that these bugs are under investigation. Though to round it off, the game world is massive, and whether it's doing quests, attending concerts, playing soccer in the courtyard, or gambling away your life savings, Phantasy Star Online 2 is here to stay and will provide countless hours of entertainment. Now, for some tips, tricks, and fun for the new players. Use the Arc's handbook. The guide is to the left of the gateway ship exit in the lobby with a small leaf above their head, and she will provide overviews on all of the game's mechanics in a very easy to read visual guide. Now, something I probably don't need to tell people with all the boosts going on is don't use the experience tickets on your first character. Save these until you know what you want to level up, plus Sega's pretty generous with them. And if you find yourself running out of storage on a mission, you can send items to your storage from your inventory at any time, regardless if you are in an encounter or have just finished one up. You will never be forced to leave items behind, and that is something I think is very critical. Also, redeem campaign rewards from the Vizio phone before they disappear. Sega will provide rewards all throughout the game's life, and you'll find more often than not they end up here.
I am a huge MMO fan, and similar to a lot of people from the West, maybe even you, who have been wanting an English PC version to come for some years now. As someone who has played almost every MMO in the past 12 years or so, from your cheap thrills to your juggernauts, my first impressions on Phantasy Star Online 2's Western PC release is a bit varied, but for the most part, it's pretty positive. I look at the subgenre of MMOs that Phantasy Star would fall into, which is similar to Vindictus or Rest in Peace Dragon's Dogma Online, or even Monster Hunter, and I wonder where it falls into and where it's gonna end up in a couple of years, because we know that Westerners don't really enjoy grinding as much as the Easterners. The game's positives shine very, very bright, and its negatives are messier than a lint roller at your grandmother's house that has 2 dogs. Now, I want to get the bad out of the way so that we can keep this thing pretty positive. When we talk about the interface, it's garbage. I have to leave the game in order to change the game to full screen. Like, are you kidding me? And then I have to click on like 20 different drop-down menus in order to turn off the voice chat because for some reason it's on by default. Like, I understand that it has its ears behind it, so I'm willing to look past these certain things and learn the best that I can from what they offer. But I had to ask these guys for the whereabouts on almost everything that I was doing because I'm pretty much stupid, simple, and blind. I wish that over the years they could have worked on the UI and the interface maybe just a little bit. Well, it is what it is, so that's clearly my biggest gripe with the game currently. To add to that, they don't tell you what to do or where to go at all. I felt like I was playing EverQuest 1 when I was like 7 years old and pretty much thought that EverQuest 1 had no rules and the game was an open world, and that's kind of how I felt with the interface. Nonetheless, with all that being said, that is what makes the game pretty much Phantasy Star Online 2. It's the difficulty. It doesn't offer you a handout to do much. Clearly, as we see, we are not the target audience for this game, but the game does a lot really well and it still looks pretty beautiful for its age. I would say it had aged like a decent Californian Cabernet that over time, it doesn't taste better, but it tastes pretty much the same. With that being said, the game still has quite an impactful combat and it is pretty fulfilling when you combo different attacks together and you're able to use different weapons to your situational advantage. If I'm in the mood to kill some shit, I think I would rather play this game than Vindictus or Monster Hunter. You know, if you want to play casually, you can. If you want to play with friends and do a couple of missions then hop back out, well, you can do that as well. And if you want to go hardcore, spend a ton of money on the cash shop or even a little bit and look to push those endgame missions, you can do that as well. I plan on playing this game a little bit more over time, so we'll see how it fends for itself as the more I progress, but ultimately I think it's a pretty good casual instance-based MMO killer for me, and I think that if you enjoy games like this, you'll enjoy this game as well.
So I'll say this, I'm not much of an MMO guy. I've dabbled in the more simplistic of them, ranging from RuneScape to MapleStory, only ever sampling anything more serious through either word of mouth or streaming. So Phantasy Star Online 2 really made me wonder what was going to happen. I had only the expectations of Japanese, long-awaited, and roughly 10-year-old MMO to go on, and my frame of reference for all of those is mediocre at best. Instantly, the game beguiled me with its 2010 era pre-launch settings panel. I battled through it and started the game. I was pulled into a surprisingly good looking pre-rendered cutscene for a 10-year-old MMO, roughly. Upon movement, I found myself playing what felt like a floatier and easier to play on keyboard and mouse version, in my opinion, version of Monster Hunter World, with cool future anime kind of Japanese stuff going on. The plot seems nonsensical, and in a way, this is my favorite part because I'm a huge fan of Italian and other low-budget horror movies of that nature from the 70s and 80s, and Phantasy Star Online 2 and those films have in common the simple fact that the dubbing does not match the lips half the time, if not all the time, in both of those. The new English lines cut off usually a good 1 to 2 seconds before the lips stop moving in the game due to them going to the length of the Japanese dialogue. It's pretty hilarious, you can't unsee it. The gameplay overall was fun, but it was weighed down by a common thread, mainly unshakably horrible UI. I love complexity and obtuseness as much as the next layman, but this game just blew past that line in the sand as soon as sub-palettes and the various permutations thereof began to make themselves apparent. The gameplay itself didn't appear so complex. Of course, we're just at the beginning. The UI did not scale in tandem. Overall, I'll say that I did like my team with the game, but it has some drawbacks. The scale of the content really does lead me to see what the hype was all about. It seems like a really crazy, drawn-out game, but as a non-MMO fan, I just really don't know if this is enough to draw me across that line in the sand, stubbornly drawn as it is.
Jared, would you play again?
So I actually touched on this on my personal video, and I'm gonna go with I would play again, but in a like casual sense, as in like if you guys wanted to play for like an hour or two, then maybe I would hop back in. I don't think I could see myself playing it solo like hardcore. Like I enjoy the game when I play it with friends, and I think that's like its main suit is it's a fun game to lose yourself in with friends.
I agree. Rob, you want to throw out some thoughts?
Would I play it again? I think I would go a step further than Jared. I think I would play it solo. Maybe not hardcore, but I could see myself dabbling dabbling a little more. The problem for me starts to come in with the complexity of UI and all that other kind of stuff, where it just starts to overwhelm in a way, just slightly.
For my opinion on going back and playing it, I'll be picking this up as soon as this video goes out, and I'll be playing it for the next few months. A year into it on the Japanese servers has only affirmed to me that it is my type of game. And I definitely love the social aspect. It's what I find to be the most interesting and the more fun way to play.
Now that we've covered that, who would you say that this is recommended for?
I recommend this game to anybody who is a fan of looter shooters, because there is loot galore. It is a crafting, gathering type of system where if you played MMOs like Black Desert or Destiny and you're looking for a little bit of spice in your day, I think this might be the game for you. And it's free.
So if that's you,
if you want to come on down.
If you love crazy complicated UI, you're going to have a great time with this one.
if you guys enjoy mini games that is the interface, then play this game.
If you want to go waste all your money at the casino and then mess around for 6 minutes trying to figure out the difference between photon arts and techniques, this is the game for you.
Don't get me started on that. Man, I was on the quest for 20 minutes because of that thing.
I only know the solution to it because I had to Google it when I was on the Japanese servers, and I thought it was only because of a translation error, and no, it's just badly described.
So if that sounds like a game that you want to play, then this is the game for you.
Absolutely.
100%.
Give it a shot.
So all in all, positive game, hopefully a positive video, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll leave a like, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.